Martins for inviting me. My name is Victor Martins. She already introduced me. I'm from Brazil, and I'm going to very briefly talk a little about my country. I wanted to start with this image, which is the most famous view from Brazil. It's in Rio. It's Christ the Redeemer, and back there we have the Sugarloaf and the Guanabara Bay. And as you can see, it's very beautiful, but I can assure you, this is more or less what I can see from where I live there, and it is 10 times more beautiful than it may seem in any picture. No picture ever will be able to capture the beauty of this place. Okay, so whenever I've had the privilege here in Omaha to meet people from fairly anywhere in the world, and whenever they ask me to speak about my country, I always like to ask them for what they already know about Brazil. And I get so many mixed answers, so many different ones, and they say you have beautiful beaches, some of them say you have carnival, you have samba, you have pretty women, and guess what? All these answers are correct, because Brazil is a very big country, and it's just like the US. It's like we've got many different countries in one only. So speaking a little about geography, as I said, it's a very big country. It's like very many different countries there. It's the 5th biggest country in the world, and it's got 5 widely different regions. First of them being the north area. I don't know if I have like a pointer here, but it's the one there, north, which is where we have Amazon, which is the biggest forest in the world. Many people might have heard of it before they're here. That's where Indians live, and it's many times called the lungs of the planet. I mean, in the sense that it's like we've got a big biodiversity there. And then we have the northeast of the country, where I live now, and there is the southeast, where the most important cities are, São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. And there's the Midwest, where the state capital is of the country, and there's South. So you can see we have many different areas. No state is like any other there. I myself have this experience of, I was born in Rio, and 4 years ago I came to live in another city, which is not that far. It might be like, I don't know, less than 1,000 miles far. But it's like going to a totally different country. You have many different like people and everything there. So I'm not going to take long speaking about the history of the country, but actually the story of how Brazil was discovered is quite interesting. There was this sailor, Pedro Álvares Cabral, from Portugal, which is why we speak Portuguese in Brazil. And at that time, Portugal and Spain were the biggest economies in the world. And they wanted to buy a lot of things in India. However, the Turkish people would not allow them to go directly from Europe to India. So what they wanted to do was go all the way down Africa and then come back again and come back to India. So when they were trying to figure out a way to do that, this sailor, Mr. Pedro Álvares Cabral, when he was like in mid-Africa, a very heavy storm happened, he lost his track, and then he ended up coming to Brazil, and so he discovered Brazil, but actually he didn't know he had discovered it, he thought it was in India. Yeah, so we have we have many different people there. We have influences of fairly anywhere. We have Indians who are the people who actually lived there. They're called this way because he thought it was in India. We had Europeans, especially from Portugal, which is the country that discovered us. But there's also Spanish people from, especially in the south of the country. There are a lot of German people. The Africans, they came first as slaves to work at the coffee fields and all of that, but then they have a very strong impact on our culture in Brazil. There is a very strong African culture there, and there are the Asians. So, so you can see that there is no way to like define a real what would be a Brazilian person. People can vary so much there. And when you have a diverse people like that, you have a very diverse culture too. I brought a few pictures here of things just to remind. On the top left, this is a singer, one of Brazil's most famous singers. He's called João Gilberto, and he's the singer who created the genre which is called Bossa Nova, which is a genuinely Brazilian music genre. Actually, many singers, Frank Sinatra, Barbra Streisand, already recorded entire records of it. And here on the top of the right, there's culture of Indians. In the bottom left, people from the south. And here is Carnival, which is what many people refer to me when it comes to speak about Brazil. It is the biggest popular party in the world. Every year, millions of people have fun there. Thousands of people come from everywhere in the world, and it is loads of fun. Today, Brazil is many times referred as the country of the future. We have been, in the last 500 years, we have been a very considered what is an undeveloped country, but in the last decades, Brazil has been rapidly growing, and it is among the so-called BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, and China, which are the countries that were undeveloped in the past, but that are now very quickly growing. And it is actually nowadays the 6th biggest economy in the world. And I put this picture here just to remind that this is a president, and this was the very first woman to become a president in Brazil. I think that's all. I think I'd just like you all to ask your questions rather than me speaking here.
Is Brasilia gone?
What?
Brasilia?
Yes, it's the capital of the country.
It is?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's.
How's the climate different? Do you like winters?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's actually what I was talking about. Winter is really cozy here. I love it here. But it's just like I'm experiencing new things here. I think I have an entire year here, so I can experience all seasons. I'm sorry. And there's actually one. I shouldn't be saying that, but okay. There's actually one saying in Brazil where we say sometimes there are parts in the country that can be really cold, especially in the south. But in the rest of the country, we say, because with seasons there, we call them like stations or something. So we say that, for example, Rio has 4 stations, which would be like the seasons. So we say Brazil has summer, and then it's got the bus station, and the train station, and the on winters, I think the coldest we get on winters is like 65 or 70.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.